Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are diving deep into the power of positive thinking, effective leadership, and how to really set yourself up for success.
Sounds good.
We've got an amazing collection of motivational audio excerpts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, featuring insights from David Schwartz and others.
Nice.
Think of it as like a cheat sheet to living a richer and more fulfilling life.
I love that, a cheat sheet to a better life. You know, one of the things that really struck me going through these recordings is how much success is tied to how you interact with other people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's not just about individual hustle, you know? It seems like these motivational gurus really believe that to get ahead, you need people on your side, people rooting for you, willing to lend a hand.
Absolutely.
But how do you make that happen? How do you get people on your side?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds good in theory,
Yeah.
but how do you actually make yourself, some of the people want to help?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's where this whole concept of being genuinely likable comes in.
Okay. Lyndon B. Johnson, way before he was president,
Okay.
had this 10-point plan for success.
Wow.
And you know what? It wasn't about mastering policy or anything like that.
Oh.
It was all about how to build positive relationships.
Oh, 10-point plan just for being likable?
Exactly.
What kind of things did it include?
Well, think warmth, genuine interest in others, always trying to understand their perspective.
Oh, okay.
And it gets pretty specific, too.
Oh, wow.
Like, one point really emphasizes taking initiative,
Okay.
being the first to say hello,
Okay.
going out of your way to meet people,
Yeah.
even making an effort to say something pleasant to strangers you encounter.
That's interesting.
Right.
So it's not enough to just be like a nice person in the background. You have to really show people that you're interested, you're engaged.
You have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Make that effort.
Yeah, and that kind of makes me think of another idea that comes up in these recordings. It's this whole mental broadcasting station concept.
So imagine your mind is like a radio
Okay.
with two channels.
I like.
Channel P for positive and channel N for negative.
Mm-hmm.
And you're constantly broadcasting one or the other.
And people are picking up on that, right?
Yeah. And people pick up on that energy.
It's like vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you're stuck on channel N,
Yeah.
you're focused on the negative,
Yeah.
people are going to feel that, and it's going to affect how they respond to you.
It's going to impact those relationships, for sure.
Yeah, and so the flip side then is that if you consciously tune in to channel P, focus on the positive in others, try to kind of shut out the negative as much as you can,
Right.
that can actually have like a ripple effect.
It can change everything.
Yeah, on your relationships and even just your overall outlook. It's pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it sounds a lot simpler than it is, right?
Right. I mean,
It takes real effort
yeah, it's like
to stay on that positive frequency. Yeah, if you're used to kind of, dwelling on the negative, it takes practice to really shift that mindset.
yeah.
So what are some of the techniques that these recordings recommend for staying on channel P?
Well, they've got some great strategies.
Okay.
For example, if you feel a conversation veering into negative territory, try changing the subject.
Okay.
Or if you find yourself in like a toxic situation,
Yeah.
excuse yourself, politely remove yourself from that situation,
Yeah.
and maybe even more importantly, make a conscious effort to look for the good in people.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's like you're training your brain to focus on the positive,
Exactly.
even when things are tough.
Even when it's hard.
Yeah. So speaking of tough, I'm curious about what these recordings have to say about how to deal with setbacks. Because let's face it, we all face them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Setbacks are inevitable. They talk about turning defeat into victory.
Okay.
And they actually use aviation as an example, because statistically, it's the safest way to travel.
All right.
But there are still accidents,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
But what sets the airline industry apart
Yeah.
is how they respond to those setbacks.
Right. They don't just kind of brush it under the rug and hope it doesn't happen again.
They don't ignore it.
Yeah.
They analyze what went wrong and figure out how to prevent it from happening again.
That's a great point.
Right.
It's like they're constantly learning and improving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And these recordings actually compare that approach to Thomas Edison's relentless pursuit of the light bulb.
Oh, interesting.
He didn't just keep trying the same thing over and over again.
Right.
He was persistent in his goal,
Yeah.
but he constantly experimented.
Tried new approaches.
New approaches, exactly.
That's such an important distinction.
Yeah,
It's not just about trying harder, it's about trying smarter.
absolutely.
So what does this actually mean for our listeners?
Right.
How can they apply this mindset of turning defeat into victory in their own lives?
Well, it's about how you respond to setbacks, Yeah.
Do you let them define you?
Yeah.
Or do you use them as opportunities to learn and grow?
Right.
Remember, there's always a good side to any situation, even if it's hidden at first.
Yeah. It's like that saying, every cloud has a silver lining.
Exactly.
You just have to look for it.
You got to find it.
Yeah. Well, now I'm really curious about what these recordings have to say about leadership.
Oh, yeah, they have some great insights on that.
Okay.
They lay out 4 key rules for effective leadership.
Okay.
And the first one is so fascinating, called trade minds.
Trade minds.
Trade minds, yeah.
Okay.
It's about stepping into the other person's shoes.
Okay.
Really trying to understand their perspective.
I remember reading in one of these recordings about a woman named Joan.
Okay.
She was an assistant buyer for a clothing store,
Mm-hmm.
and she failed miserably
Oh, no.
because she just couldn't relate to the target customer.
She couldn't trade minds.
She couldn't, yeah, her own tastes were so different that all the merchandise she was choosing was wrong. It was all wrong for the customer.
Yeah. And that really just highlights how important empathy is in leadership.
Absolutely.
You know, to connect with people,
Yeah.
to inspire them, you have to really understand their needs and motivations.
You can see the world through their eyes.
Yeah. And they even get some really practical tips for trading minds,
Oh, like what?
like being really careful about how you frame instructions for new employees,
Okay.
or even just thinking about how you come across on the phone.
That's a good one.
Yeah. You know, it's all about considering how your words and actions impact those around you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, what about the second rule for effective leadership? I think it was something about being human.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be human. It might sound obvious.
Yeah.
But it's about treating people with respect and kindness,
Okay.
especially when they make mistakes.
Especially when they make mistakes. Yeah.
There's this great anecdote in one of the recordings about this self-made millionaire named Bob
Okay.
who built his furniture business from scratch.
Okay. His approach to correcting employees is amazing. He always speaks to them privately.
Oh, wow.
Starts by praising what they're doing well,
Okay.
and then focuses on helping them improve.
That's so much better than just like calling someone out in front of everybody else.
Absolutely. Public criticism can be so demoralizing.
Yeah, totally.
It can be so counterproductive.
Yeah.
You know, he really understands that.
Yeah.
And he gets that positive reinforcement goes a long way.
Yeah, it's like remembering that everybody is human.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so what's that third rule all about?
Rule number 3 is all about progress.
Progress?
Progress.
Huh.
Effective leaders have this forward-looking mindset.
Okay.
They're always looking for ways to improve.
Yeah.
And they set high standards for themselves and their teams.
I remember a story about a company president who was trying to decide which of his salesmen to promote to sales manager.
Oh, yeah.
He brought in a consultant to observe the candidates.
Okay.
2 of them were constantly defending the status quo.
Yeah. Getting defensive when the consultant pointed out areas for improvement.
Not good.
Yeah. But the third salesman was totally different.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was so excited about the feedback and just brimming with ideas for how to make things better.
I bet I know who got the promotion.
You got it.
The guy who was open to growth.
That guy who was eager to learn and grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the recordings really emphasize that this mindset is so crucial for leadership.
It's about inspiring others to reach their full potential.
Yeah. And it's not about being perfect. It's about always striving to be better.
Absolutely.
Be open to improvement.
It's a journey.
Yeah. And that actually leads us perfectly to the fourth and final rule.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
All right. I'm ready. What's the secret sauce?
It's what they call conferring with yourself.
Conferring with yourself.
Yes, carving out time for solitude,
Okay.
for what they call managed solitude.
So it's not just like being alone. It's about really using that time intentionally.
It's about being intentional with that time, to strategize, to solve problems, to tap into your creative power.
Like giving yourself the space to really think deeply.
Yes, to have those aha moments.
Yeah.
And the recordings really contrast the people who actively seek out this kind of solitude versus those who avoid it.
Interesting.
They argue that people who shy away from being alone with their thoughts are missing out on unlocking their full potential.
Oh, wow.
There's even this study they mentioned where 13 trainees practiced managed solitude for an hour a day.
Wow.
And they saw incredible results, better problem solving, a deeper understanding of themselves,
That's amazing.
clearer decision making.
You know, that makes so much sense because in our world, we are just constantly bombarded with information and distractions.
It's so easy to lose touch with ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like taking time for quiet reflection.
To reconnect with your inner compass.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, speaking of creating a vision for your life, that brings us to the next big theme from these recordings.
Okay, let's do it.
The incredible power of goals.
All right, I'm ready to dive into that.
Right.
Goal setting is something I'm always working on.
Me too. It's a constant process. You know, these recordings really hammer home this fundamental truth. Nothing happens until a goal is established.
Right.
Goals give us direction, they give us purpose, and without them, we're like ships without rudders, you know?
Oh, I love that analogy.
Just drifting aimlessly.
If you don't know where you're going, any direction will do, right?
Exactly. But how do we go from drifting to actually charting a course for success?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. And one of the suggestions that I found so intriguing is to think like a progressive corporation.
Okay.
These companies are always planning 5-10 years ahead.
Yeah.
And the recordings challenge us to do the same,
Okay.
to visualize our ideal selves a decade from now.
10 years out. Wow, I have to admit, I usually think about goals in much shorter time frames.
Right?
It's kind of mind-blowing to think about where I want to be that far down the road.
It is, but it's a powerful exercise, isn't it?
Yep.
It forces you to think beyond just the immediate, you know,
Yeah.
and envision the kind of life you truly want.
Yeah.
And to help us with that process, they introduced this tool called the 10-year planning guide.
Okay, tell me more about this planning guide. How does it work?
Well, it's broken down into these 3 main areas of life: work, home, and social.
Okay.
And each area has a set of questions designed to prompt, like, deep reflection.
Yeah.
So, for example, in the work department, it asks things like, you know, what income level do I want to attain?
Okay.
What position do I aspire to hold?
Okay.
What kind of impact do I want to make in my field?
So it's not just about setting these vague goals like be successful. It's about getting really specific and clear
Crystal clear.
on what you want to achieve in every aspect of your life.
Exactly. And it's important to emphasize that it's not just about setting these goals, it's about having this burning desire to achieve them.
Right. Yeah.
That passion is what fuels the action.
I can totally see that.
Yeah.
Because a lukewarm goal is unlikely to generate much action, right?
You're not going to get very far.
But how do we actually cultivate that fire?
Right.
You know, that intense desire to achieve.
Well, the recordings share this powerful story about a woman named Mrs. D.
Oh.
She was diagnosed with cancer when her son was just 2 years old,
Oh, wow.
and the prognosis wasn't good,
Oh, no.
but she was determined to see him through college.
Oh, that's incredible.
And you know what? She did.
Wow.
Mrs. D defied the odds for 20 years, fueled by that unwavering goal.
That's amazing.
Her story just so beautifully illustrates the life-giving power of a burning desire.
It shows that when we're truly committed to something, we can literally overcome incredible obstacles.
It's like that desire becomes this internal force
Yeah.
that propels us forward.
It's so true. Okay, now, of course, achieving big goals can feel overwhelming at times.
Oh, absolutely.
So how do we break it down?
Right. So the recordings really emphasize this step-by-step approach. They use the analogy of a salesman earning management responsibilities, you know,
Okay.
one sale at a time.
So it's about breaking those massive goals down into smaller, more manageable steps.
Bite-sized pieces.
Yeah. It's like building a house brick by brick. You don't focus on the whole structure. You just focus on laying each brick perfectly.
Exactly. And to help with that process, the recordings suggest creating what they call a 30-day improvement guide.
Okay, I like that.
So it's about identifying concrete actions you can take each day
Okay.
to break bad habits, cultivate good ones, and really increase your value at work and at home.
I love that idea. It's so much easier to stay motivated when you have those daily action steps to focus on.
You have a roadmap, you know?
Exactly. And even with the best planning and the most burning desire, you know, life rarely goes exactly according to plan.
That's for sure.
So the recordings remind us to be prepared to take detours in stride,
Yes, flexibility is key.
right? We need to be able to adapt,
Yeah.
adjust our course while staying focused on that ultimate destination.
Absolutely. Now let's shift gears a bit
Oh, yeah.
and talk about investment.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about financial investment here.
Right.
I'm talking about investment in yourself.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What kind of investments are we talking about?
Well, the recordings emphasize the importance of investing in your mental power
Okay.
and efficiency. And one of the key areas they highlight is education.
I'm guessing they're not just talking about formal degrees here.
You're right. They redefine education as anything that expands and sharpens your mind.
I like that.
So it could be taking a course, yes, but it could also be reading a challenging book,
Okay.
listening to a thought-provoking podcast, or simply having conversations that push you to think differently.
So it's about being a lifelong learner, constantly seeking new knowledge and perspective.
Absolutely. It's about actively feeding your mind
Yeah,
with stimulating material,
Yeah.
just like successful people do, you know?
that's a great point.
And they also highlight the value of what they call idea starters.
Idea starters. Okay, what are those?
Well, things like books, magazines, journals that expose you to new concepts
Okay.
and stimulate your thinking. And they argue that by regularly engaging with these types of materials, we can really spark our creativity,
Okay.
generate new ideas, and ultimately become more successful in whatever we pursue.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like planting these seeds of possibility in our minds,
Yeah.
soaking up new ideas and allowing them to kind of germinate and grow into something amazing.
Exactly. Now, as we start to wrap up this deep dive into these motivational recordings,
Yes.
let's take a moment to kind of recap the key themes we've explored.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful because we've covered a lot of ground today.
We started with the importance of thinking right toward people, remember?
Right.
Building positive relationships, cultivating a genuinely likable persona.
Yeah.
We then explored the power of turning defeat into victory,
Right.
learning from setbacks, embracing a growth mindset.
I figured it.
We delved into the 4 key rules of effective leadership: trading minds, being human, thinking progress, and conferring with yourself.
Yes. And then most recently, we explored the incredible power of goal setting,
Right.
creating a compelling vision for the future, and fueling our actions with burning desire.
We've been given a wealth of tools and strategies today
We have.
to unlock our potential and achieve greater success in all areas of life.
It's exciting.
It is, but ultimately, as with any self-improvement journey, it all comes down to you, the listener.
Absolutely.
You already possess the raw materials for success.
I love that.
Your mind, your energy, your ideas, your unique talents and abilities.
It's so empowering to think about it like that, we're not starting from scratch.
Right.
We already have everything we need.
It's all within us.
Yeah, within us. It's just a matter of tapping into it and making it work for us.
That's the beauty of these motivational recordings, you know?
Yeah.
They remind us that success isn't about some magic formula
Right.
or secret society. It's about mindset belief and consistent action.
And it all starts with thinking big, doesn't it? That seems to be like a recurring theme
Absolutely.
throughout these recordings.
When you think big, you open yourself up to possibilities you never even thought possible.
Yeah, it's like expanding your horizons,
Yeah.
seeing the world through a wider lens.
Exactly. It's like one of those optical illusions.
Yeah.
You see one thing at first,
Right.
but then you shift your focus and suddenly a whole new image emerges.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Right. So thinking big gives you the courage to pursue your dreams,
Yeah.
even when they seem out of reach.
Even when they seem impossible.
It allows you to step outside your comfort zone,
Right.
embrace challenges as opportunities for growth.
It's about not letting fear hold you back
Exactly.
from what you're truly capable of.
And you know when you encounter setbacks, which you will,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
thinking big helps you reframe them as valuable lessons.
Okay.
It's about developing that resilience
Yeah.
and that unwavering belief in yourself.
Yeah, it's like that saying, fall 7 times, stand up 8.
Exactly. Now, another fascinating aspect of thinking big is its impact on your relationships.
Oh, interesting.
When you truly embrace a big thinking mindset,
Okay.
you naturally become more generous,
Okay.
more compassionate, and more supportive of others.
I hadn't thought about it that way before,
Right.
but it makes sense.
It changes how you approach everything.
When you're not constantly worried about scarcity and competition,
Right.
you can approach your interactions with more abundance
Yes.
and a desire to lift others up.
Exactly. Thinking big creates that win-win mentality.
Right.
Because you understand that their success doesn't diminish your own.
Yeah, it's about celebrating each other's achievements,
Absolutely.
creating a rising tide that lifts all boats.
And when you surround yourself with other people who think big,
Yeah.
you create this powerful synergy.
Yeah, it's like having a mastermind group, right?
It is where everyone is committed to growth and excellence.
I can only imagine the ideas
Right.
that would come out of a group like that.
The innovations,
Yeah.
thinking big also inspires you to make a positive impact on the world.
Okay.
Because you start to see beyond your own immediate needs,
Right.
and you recognize this interconnectedness of all things.
It's not just about what you can get, it's about what you can give.
It's about contributing,
Yeah.
leaving the world a better place than you found it.
Yeah. And so as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yes?
what is like the one key takeaway we want our listeners to remember?
I think it's this. Think big, believe in yourself, and never stop growing.
I love that.
It's a simple message.
Yeah,
But so powerful.
it is.
It's a journey,
Yeah,
not a destination.
right?
And it's a journey we can all take together.
Well, thank you so much for guiding us through this deep dive today. It has been such an insightful and inspiring conversation.
My pleasure. And remember, the power to create a richer, more fulfilling life lies within you.
And to our listeners, until next time, keep thinking big.